Turn! Freezing! Yep. The rains eliminate the Friday night action. We take the white flag as a salute to all you fathers involved in the world of racing. Hey, Dad, come on, go faster. I want to watch Race Pro Weekly. Let's go. Hello and welcome to another edition of Race Pro Weekly. I'm Mike Warren. The Fonda Speedway has almost seen it all with Stewart Friesen in victory lane in many scenarios this season. After the heat races, he would have to go home and get his backup car, forcing him to start last. Would that keep him out of victory lane? As you can see, Stewart Friesen going to be the man to watch in that number one machine as we get started at the drop of the green in this modified feature event, as all the cars looking to be another driver to possibly beat Friesen this season. They head down the back straightaway. Ronnie Johnson and Jeremy Wilder make contact. That allows Bobby Varon to go to the outside as Craig Hansen gets shuffled into the infield, and he will come to a stop on the grassy knoll in front. Off of the restart, cars on the move, and that would include the 14G of Brian Gleason, who would blast off on the top side and into the top five as he was looking to move past Floyd Billington and Alton Palmer to try to get into the race lead. Caution will come out for the 00 of Bobby Varon, and off of that restart, the 14G would blast off as he would be your new race leader as they headed down the backstretch. They come up into turn number 1 and 2 as Stewart Friesen will be on the move looking to run down to 2RJ as Jeremy Wilder gets caught up into the outside retaining wall and goes up and over. Wilder would be okay, but a lot of damage to that number 24 machine. Off of the restart they would go as Bowler moves into spot number 2. But then another flip would ensue in almost the same spot as Ronnie Johnson barrel rolls a number of times down the back straightaway. A tough break for the 2RJ machine. Gleason would assume control of this once again as cars on the move as Stewart Friesen now just outside of the top 5 fighting with the 14 of Floyd Billington. As now AJ Romano would have something come loose. He'd hit the outside retaining wall in 1 and 2 and go up and over. Oh boy, a lot of damaged race cars in this event as Romano would walk away. They come back off the restart. Stewart Friesen now would move into the top 5 and would go to work on Josh Hohenforst to try to get to spot number 4. And eventually he would slide in front of Justin Bowler to try to take the number 2 spot away. Bowler would get him right back, but Stewart Friesen would look to go to the inside and he would get the spot and try to run down Brian Gleason, who was showing everybody that this is what you got to do to get here in this one. He would keep the race lead as they come off at turn number 2 with Friesen right on his back bumper. But as he heads into turn 3, he bobbles Justin up and Friesen goes wide on the outside, and he would be your new race leader. Stewart Friesen would then pull away from him, and fans, can you believe it? Stewart Friesen again at the Fonda Speedway.
It was unbelievable. Something happened and we just lost a cylinder with the small block. We packed up the trailer and the boys rallied and got back to the shop, and we loaded up the other car and got back down here just in time. It was a big time team effort tonight.
The Canadian sensation strikes one more time. Brian Gleason, who had a great run, would have to settle for second. Justin Bowler third, Josh Hohenforst fourth, and Jeff Trombley would be fifth. Heading into last weekend at Merrittville, there were 8 different winners in 8 races on the Thorold, Ontario Oval. Let's head back north of the border to see if they could make it 9. Travis Miller and Wayne Kahn would lead the field to the green in the 35-lap feature at the Merrittville Speedway, as Miller would look to take the early advantage, but Wayne Kahn on the outside would take the race lead away as they headed down the backstretch and into turn number 3 and 4. Cars on the move early would be the 15J of Tim Jones as he would move into the number 3 spot quickly, along with the 08 of Mark Delario finding something on the top side as well, as Kahn and Miller would battle for that number 1 spot. Here comes Miller back to the inside as Tim Jones right there on the outside. He's going to take the number 2 spot away and now go to work on Wayne Kahn as he would have to switch lanes, and that's going to allow the 08 of Mark Delario to get into the fray as he would be using that outside lane trying to find something. Delario pulls up right on the back bumper of Jones. That's going to allow Kahn to go to the outside to try to find something, but Tim Jones just too strong through the early portion of this event, as Matt Williamson right there as well, as he would get by Kahn as Kahn starts to fade in this feature event, losing a couple of positions. Meanwhile, Mike Bowman trying to get into the fray as well, along with him and Travis Miller. Pete Bicknell sticking his nose there as well. as Delario now trying to run down the 15J of Jones as Brett Clark will bring out the caution coming down the front straightaway. That would re-rack the field, and Matt Williamson right there in the number 3 spot trying to take advantage as he would look to get by Delario. Delario with a couple of shots at the 15J of Jones, but Tim Jones just too strong on that outside lane as he would continue to lead this feature event and then start to pull away as Williamson would now move to the top side to try to get by Delario. He'd get the momentum he need off of turn number 2, but Tim Jones just too strong as it comes down to the wire as he picks up the win.
The car felt great. I was a little worried with those last cautions coming out. The last couple of weeks, the track's changed quite a bit. We were really experimenting with the rear end, some suspension stuff. We went back to the basics tonight. The car was great.
Tim Jones, the 9th different winner at the Merrittville Speedway this season. Matt Williamson would have to settle for second. Mark Delario with a great run coming home third. Pete Bicknell fourth, and Scott Wood would finish in fifth. Other winners on the night, Gary Lindbergh would grab the win in the Sportsman, Josh Sliger in the open wheel lights, Dave Bailey in the Hoosier stocks, and Jason Kutu in the 4 cylinders.
It's now time for this week's Facebook fan poll question. What do you think about the return of Rush Hour on Dirt? Glenn Donnelly is bringing back the popular program on MAV TV for 3 races this year from Rolling Wheels.
I've already sent my resume.
Oh boy, here we go. Log on to our Facebook page at facebook.com/RaceProWeekly to cast your answer and let us know what you think. Last week, we asked if Super Dirt Week does leave the New York State Fairgrounds and officials plan on keeping it going, where would you like to see it end up? This question really got you guys talking, and here are some of the answers we got. Connor said, Bridgeport. Charlotte is a really nice place, but you gotta think about it. Why would you move the event over 600 miles away from the heart of your fan base? Ray said, Saratoga, the horse track. It would be a great venue for Super Dirt Week. It would never happen, but it sure would be cool. Gotta keep it in New York no matter what happens. Joe said, make a new race. Super Dirt Week should be on a mile, and since there isn't another mile in the Northeast, start new. Kirk said, keep it in New York. I would love to see it at Fonda. We had so many of you weigh in that we couldn't read them all, but here are the results. I personally think someone should convert the fairgrounds in Pownell, Vermont into a dirt track. Give it some new life. Coming up on Race Pro Weekly, we head to the high banks of Lebanon Valley to see if anybody could stop Brett Hearn. And we go to the Fulton Speedway. Could lightning strike 2 weeks in a row? Find out next on Race Pro Weekly.
Reputable. Reliable. Results. That's what you get when you call Rick and the professionals at RCT Roofing. Quality service at fair prices. RCT gets the job done. Just like Nick Stone and the RCT Pro Stock. RCT Roofing, we've got you covered. There's only one place in the capital region for you to get the full racing action. Stop down at the Bobco video booth at the track or call 518-399-0937. Bobco Racing Video, the next best thing to being there.
Looking for outstanding service for your car, truck, or SUV? Speed's Garage is a family-run business providing the highest quality of auto care. From routine maintenance, brakes, engine, body, or paint work, you can trust the professionals at Speed's Garage. Speed's Garage has all the auto service you need, plus full towing for any vehicle. For championship service, go to Speed's Garage in Mellonville.
Welcome back to Race Pro Weekly. Last weekend, Brett Hearn dominated the field at Lebanon Valley, but with the Valley producing 4 different winners on the season so far, the domination couldn't continue, could it? The Northeastern Vintage Bonds were also on hand, with Stanley Wetmore picking up the victory in that feature event. The last of the original Ridge Runners getting it done as we head to the big block modified feature. It would be Denny Soltis bringing the field to the green flag in the 30-lap event. As in the early going, cars would bunch right together. Brian Berger trying to go around the 43 of Keith Flack. And, Brett Hearn on the move on the outside lane, trying to get by Steve Huff and Andy Bacchetti in the early going. Denny Soltis would go way to the top side. That would allow a number of cars to get by him. And then Hearn would go to work trying to crack the top 5 very early in this event. So he would look to go underneath Keith Flack. Then he'd go to work on Mike King and Denny Soltis as he was flying. Caution will come out as Mike King gets turned around to the 115 of Kenny Tremont. Nowhere to go in turn number 4 as that brings out the caution. But off the restart, the fastest car on the racetrack may have been the Phase 3 Racing, car number 60 of Brian Berger, as he looks to crack the top 5 right behind the Jersey Jet of Brett Hearn. Hearn now would go by Kyle Armstrong on the inside for the number 3 spot. Then he would go to work on Chad Jezio to go to the number 1 position as they would fight it out side by side, battling for the spot as they come off at turn number 4. Jezio trying to give him everything he can handle, and at the line they look to be neck and neck, but Hearn would slide right up in front of him off at turn number 1 and 2. Then it would be the car number 60 of Brian Berger from the 11th starting position, looking to get to spot number 2. He does, but he had nothing for the Jet as Hearn goes back to back.
This is a 40-year-old car, and when I get in this car, it's like putting on an old sneaker. It really is, and it just seems like it's just running better and better and better every week. I don't know if it's just me or the car, or just the guy is just staying up on the thing and making sure that it's right. But it's an awesome thing to drive.
Brett Hearn picks up the victory. Brian Berger would finish in 2nd, Kyle Armstrong 3rd, Andy Bacchetti 4th, and Kenny Tremont would round out the top 5. There's a saying in society that lightning doesn't strike twice in the same place during a storm. At the Fulton Speedway 2 weeks ago, Larry White tested that theory. Would he be able to do it again? Adam Roberts and Tim Schneider Jr. going to lead the field to the green at the Fulton Speedway as they headed up into turn number 1 and 2. Car on the move. X marks the spot. Here comes Chad Phelps. He's going to go to the outside of Roy Bresnahan to make it 3 wide through turn number 3 and 4. Car going around, that is Tom Sears. As a lot of cars just narrowly missing them up in turn number 1 and 2. And when they got it re-racked, it would be Schneider at the point once again. But now moving to the outside would be the X of Chad Phelps, and he'd take the spot away, heading down the back straightaway. Meanwhile, a couple of red cars going to split Schneider, moving in towards the top 5, as now Larry White would move to the inside of Phelps, looking to take the race lead away. The Gypsum Wholesalers Express car number 99L would now move to the inside as he swapped lanes, and he would look to go inside of him and take the spot away. As they come off at turn number 2, he would have the momentum he needed as they head down the front straightaway. Checkered flag out, and it would be White once again at Fulton. Lightning Larry White grabs the victory. Billy Decker would finish in 2nd, Chad Phelps 3rd, Danny Johnson 4th, and Pat Ward would finish in 5th. We head to the Great Race Place for the 2nd annual Mark Hughes Memorial Sportsman Feature event. 26 laps the distance is led to the green by the 352 of Johnny Proctor. Cars moving up through the field. Rob Maxon in the 96 trying to make his way through there, along with the 09 of Connor Cleveland as he looks to split 2 Donnelly Construction cars. Cars still looking to make moves. Rocky Warner on his way up through the inside along with Jeremy Pitts. Meanwhile, the race for the lead would start to heat up as Robert Bublak Jr. would move to the inside as he would go past the 352 of Johnny Proctor and take the race lead away, and he was gone, to say the least. Chris Johnson to the inside of the 7 of Chris Murray as Connor Cleveland will go around. Jeremy Pitts tags him, having a lot of right front damage. Joey Scarborough and Josh Sun also involved as Pitts. You can see a little bit of smoke coming from the right front of the car. Then off of the restart, contact comes together as Nick Lucier spins and a gaggle of cars up in between turn number 1 and 2. And then, well, the skies opened up. The rains came, and that would do it for the night at the Albany-Saratoga Speedway in the first feature event. So here's how it'll go. As the running order as of lap 11, Robert Bublak, your race leader, Johnny Proctor 2nd, Chris Johnson 3rd, Chris Murray 4th, and Nick Anitrello 5th. This will be made up as the opening race as part of this Friday night's action.
When we come back, we travel to the Fonda Speedway for a double dose of sportsman action. And we check in again at Fulton and the Valley for some full fendered action. It's all coming up on Race Pro Weekly.
Some of the music you've heard on Race Pro Weekly this week is by A.J. Jansen, Country's Rebel Rose, bringing you a mixture of high-energy rock and sultry country roots. To hear more and for your free download, check out ajjansenmusic.com. Performance, quality, service. That's DMC Racing Products. Hundreds of name brand parts, competitive prices. That's DMC. DMC Racing Products. Race to win. Welcome back to Race Pro Weekly as we head to the Sportsman Division. Fonda Speedway School District getting in on it as leading the field to the green would be the 7J of Dan Santa Barbara. At the front of the field, there's a lot of cars trying to make their way up through the field quickly. Of course, the 24 of Brian Pesolano in there. The 1H of Harry Schaefer up in between turn number 1 and 2. And Connor Cleveland now going to run into the back bumper of the 7J machine. As he'd slide to the inside and look to take the number 2 spot away. And he would do that and then get by John McAuliffe for position off of turn number 2. As McAuliffe would try to battle back to the inside, but he would bobble. And that's going to allow Rocky Warner to move to the inside. Rocky Warner now into the top 5 as cars come together up in between turn number 1 and 2, as that is the 26 of Aaron Burton. Then off the restart, Connor Cleveland literally right on the back bumper of Harry Schaefer this time as they go through turn number 3 and 4. It would be Cleveland moving to the inside and sliding up in front of him as Connor Cleveland would have the spot. Rocky Warner still desperately trying to make his way up towards the front, but he'd run out of time as Cleveland rocks as Connor Cleveland grabs the win. In feature number 2, it would be Tim Hartman Jr. subbing in for Cody Blue after that accident a week ago, taking the early race lead in the event. Cars on the move, Connor Cleveland to the inside, Chad Edwards there as well as they try to make their way up through the field, as well as the 44, who is Adam McAuliffe, borrowing Kenny Conroy's ride that he usually pilots on Friday nights at Albany-Saratoga Speedway. McAuliffe very fast. He would look to close the gap between him and the 173 of Hartman as they would split Dan Santa Barbara and now go to work on him. Would be McAuliffe right on the back bumper of the 173 machine. He'd pull up even with him through turn number 3 and 4 on the inside lane, but just didn't have enough that time as Tim Hartman Jr. would have it. Caution will come out for the 10% of Cody Clark, and that would bunch him up once again as McAuliffe looking to go to the inside of him, but couldn't get it as Tim Hartman Jr. grabs a big win, subbing in for Cody Blue. So it would be Tim Hartman Jr. grabbing the win. Adam McAuliffe would finish in second, Connor Cleveland third, Ricky Quick fourth, and Chris Schaefer fifth. Connor Cleveland grabs a win in race number 1 that we showed you earlier. Harry Schaefer would finish in second, Brian Pesolano third, Rocky Warner fourth, and Mark Mortensen would round out the top 5. Other winners on the night, Pete Broderson would grab the win in the Pro Stocks, Dave Horning Sr. in the Street Stocks, and Nick Scavia in the Limited Sportsman. Back to the Valley for the final time as we go with some full fendered action for the Pro Stocks. First, we'll start off with the 4 cylinders, though, as contact between Kelly Duncan and Todd Goldstein leads to Goldstein and Kenny Sager going up into the walls. That would bring out the caution. Now to the Pro Stock feature event, the 178 of Stephen LaRochelle would take the early race lead in this one as cars scrambling together on lap number 1 as Rob Yetman to the inside of John Sandlin for position. Then it would be the 317 of Frank Twing trying to switch lanes, but caution will come out for the 81D of Mark Dupree in turn number 2. Off the restart, Rick Dempsey going to get a jump. Here comes Chad Arsenal and Tommy Harkins down the back straightaway looking to find some racing room. Rob Yetman in there as well as he'll slide in front of a couple of cars as the 60 of Joe LaFlamme goes around on the outskirts of turn number 4. Off of the restart, new race leader as Chuck Towsley would go underneath the 178 of Stephen LaRochelle, and then on the move was the 7 of Rob Yetman as he would quickly work his way into the top 5, working on Rick Dempsey for the number 4 spot. He'd get by him and Milo Campbell for spot number 3 as they headed down the back straightaway, and Yetman would continue to pressure the 178 of LaRochelle as cars would scramble together fighting for position. Wouldn't be long until Yetman got by LaRochelle for the number 2 spot and then go to work on race leader Chuck Towsley as Ruthier Corbin and the 317 of Frank Twing were on the move as Dempsey would get caught way up to the top side and a number of cars would get by him. Meanwhile, the 7 of Yetman would take the race lead away as cars would still scramble for those positions as Ruthier Corbin and Twing putting on a show. Yetman would distance himself away from the field, however, as he would take home the checkered flag in the Pro Stock feature event. Yetman grabs the win. Towsley would finish in second, Ruthier third, Corbin fourth, and Frank Twing would finish in fifth. Other winners on the night in the 358 modifieds, it would be Kenny Tremont. Phil Sherman would grab the win in Pure Stock number 1, Bill Deek Jr. in Pure Stock number 2, Jesse Murphy in Pure Stock number 3, Gary O'Brien in the Street Stocks, and in the 4-cylinder regularly scheduled features, the dual cam will go to Phil DeFiglio and the single cam to Brandon Neely, and in the features made up from May 30th, Chris Vanderput would grab the win in the dual, and Tim Meltz would grab the win in the single. Back to Fulton we go, starting off with some sportsman action. Is Corey Barker going to take advantage of a big miscue and move to the inside, and then he'd move to the outside of Will Shields to take the number 1 spot away, and he would hold on to win in the Big Dipper entry as they head down the front straightaway. Now to the late models. Jason Aquino going to take the early race lead as he get a big run on the outside lane, as now Kevin Cook would make it to the inside, as a lot of these drivers testing the high waters of the Fulton Speedway as cars get together a little bit down the backstretch. Cook, however, going to go to the inside of Aquino. He'd take the spot away as they go up into turn number 1 and 2, and he breezed through the final 2 corners and grabbed the victory in the late model feature event. Kevin Cook picking up the feature event victory. Chris Fleming would finish in second, Alan Fink third, Jason Aquino fourth, and Dave Talbot fifth. In the sportsman feature event, Corey Barker would grab the win, Will Shields would finish in second, Earl Rudy third, Tony Finch fourth, and Billy Clark Jr. would be fifth. Other winners on the night in the novice sportsman, it would be Mike Stanton Jr., Tim Dunn in the 4 cylinders, vintage modified winner would go to Rob Whipple, and Jim Hillmeyer in the vintage sportsman.
It's now time for this week's Berkshire County Network Driver Spotlight with Lebanon Valley rookie Pro Stock racer Joe LaFlamme. Race Pro Weekly is brought to you by Bob Hilbert Sportswear, Racing Electronics, Emmerich Associates, Tranquil Touch Healing, New England Racing Fuels, and Sunoco Fuels. Coming up, Fast Eddie and his son Andrew chat with a father and son team that enjoy racing against each other. And we'll hand out our NYSSCA Performer of the Week. Race Pro Weekly will be right back.
I'm Brian from 1-800-GOT-JUNK. This is my main man, Tom, and my other main man, Tom.
You never know how much junk you've got until you move.
Point to something you wish would disappear.
Would it be possible to... It's gone!
All you have to do is point.
Where have you been all my life?
We make junk disappear. All you have to do is point.
The Choices 301 program takes a multifaceted approach aimed at educating the public about the realities and dangers of what can happen when bad decisions are made inside a motor vehicle. Don't hesitate to designate. Welcome back to Race Pro Weekly. When most of you think about Lebanon Valley, I'm sure the first thing that comes to mind is the dirt oval that runs on Saturday nights, right? Well, do you know what happens on Sundays? That's right, drag racing. The Straightliners tackle the Lebanon Valley quarter mile every Sunday for high-speed, side-by-side racing. Who has the best cars? The name of the game at this NHRA-sanctioned facility. Maybe go-karts are your thing. Lebanon Valley can help on Sundays as well. The next generation of racers duke it out each week with many different divisions in action. Several of the drivers who race on Saturday night at the big track have kids running karts on Sunday as a great way to get their feet wet. No matter what your passion, you can find it each weekend at Lebanon Valley.
Many drivers today would not be on the track without the support of their dads. With Sunday being Father's Day, our own Fast Eddie and his son Andrew caught up with the father-son team of Jay and Jason Casey to talk about racing and competing against each other.
I'm Andrew Biittig here with Jay Casey. Jay, how many years have you been racing?
Around 25.
Jason, how many years have you been racing now?
I think this is going on my 15th year in a full fender car.
You travel each week from Connecticut. Why do you make the trip here to Fonda Speedway?
We raced at Lebanon Valley for many years. We were very competitive in that class there, and I just wanted to come up here, and it's a lot of learning and changing the car and getting some flat track experience. We needed a change. I think Fonda will give us a little more experience on flat tracks, and it's time to meet more people and be friends.
What do you like about racing in the Pro Stock division?
The competition. There's so many good drivers in it. The competition, the guys are here every week, and it's anybody's week to win. There's a lot of competition. We're all pretty much on the same budget, and it's a good competitive class.
as we head into the Father's Day weekend. What's it like to get to race against your father week in and week out?
It's a lot of fun. He pushes me to try to beat him, be a little bit better, so we can have bragging rights at the shop. But I think each of us, when one of us does better than the other, it gives us a little bit more motivation to try and come back and learn from each other.
It's a challenge. He's good. Sometimes he has a better car, sometimes I do, but he's a good runner, and that's one of the reasons why we race it.
It's now time for this week's NYSSCA Performer of the Week award. And with the great job of going to get the backup car, putting it together, and going to victory lane, this week's recipient is the entire Tad Parks Racing team with driver Stuart Friesen. The team is now eligible for the Performers of the Year award given out at the end of the season. That's all for this week's show. For the latest news, results, and photos, check out Race Pro Weekly online at www.raceproweekly.com, and be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. So for myself, Amber Chalmers, Fast Eddie, Scott Morlock, and everyone that helps put Race Pro Weekly together, thank you for watching this week's episode, and we'll see you next time.